So now we want to bring in parameters instead of hard coding here. So in Scratch, we edit and we add an input number. So we're going to input side, and what we're going to say is move side steps. So it's very much like a variable, and the word here is just a placeholder preparing the program that they're going to expect an input. It doesn't know yet what the input is going to be, so it's called a parameter. It could be anything, but we're just letting it know it's going, by putting inside, it's really for the programmer or anyone looking at the program to let them know that whatever value goes in there refers to the side of a square in this case. So I'm going to say, let's make it 50, and when we run this one, we get the smaller square. It's exactly the same, except we've now put the input into parameters over here instead of hard coding them into the program. We can call this anytime. We could put in 100 here. Now these squares will all be in the same spot. Let's just run it and see what happens. So it's run this, has gone into side, and it says move 50 steps. Then it comes to here. The 100 goes into the parameter here, and then it moves 100 steps. The 30 goes into the parameter, so this is called an argument. The argument goes into the parameter, and it moves 30 steps. The argument of 200 goes into the parameter of side, replaces it with 200, and that moves down into here, and we get our biggest square. So now let's repeat exactly that with the other programs. So in Python, we know the draw square works with the hard-coded. We want to put in a parameter called side, and instead of 100 times, we're going to say move it side times. Now what is side? Well, we did 50. So now we can do 100, 30, and 200. Now, similarly, in JavaScript, we've got our function called drawSquare, no parameters inside of it. Inside it's saying move forward and turn 4 times. So when we call drawSquare, so great, nothing new here. So now what we want to do is make this one flexible by making it a parameter. So first step is to write the word side as the parameter and side in here. So now what will happen if we put in 30 into here, 30 goes from the call, that argument of 30 goes into this parameter of side. That essentially will turn into that behind the scenes. Similarly, this one down here will also turn into that. So let's see what happens when we run. We get the smaller square there. So now if I call this 3 more times, so have a look at this one. Has 2 parameters. One is the length of the side of a shape, and the second parameter is the angle. And with those 2 inputs, let's have a look what happens. So we've drawn a triangle, a square, a pentagon, and a hexagon. I'll show you again in full screen. Okay, so how does this one work? Well, we've put in two parameters. One is a side length. When the function is called the first time, it's got a side length of 100, so it says move 100 steps. Now we know 360 gets you back to the beginning, so if we divide 360 by the second parameter, doesn't matter whether it's 3 or 6, it will work it out. So you'll move and you'll turn. So instead of turning 90 degrees like we did with our square, this one is flexible. If we put in 3, it will move 100 steps, then turn 120 degrees, and then it will repeat that as many times as there are sides to get back to the beginning. And if we put in the first parameter of 50, 50 will go over to here and then down into here. 4 will go into here and anywhere that's holding it. So this is now going to say move 50. We're going to turn 90 degrees, and that's going to happen 4 times. And then it disappears at the end, just to make the screen a bit clearer. So we could put in any side length, let's say 50, and let's do 20. Okay, so that one didn't work because it ran out of side on the screen. Okay, so now we can join them all up. So this is putting two inputs, two arguments into the parameters. So remember, the parameters are only telling the program what kind of data to expect or what it's related to, and the argument is the actual input going in. Okay, in Python, we've got our function defined here and we call it here. This one's got two parameters. The first parameter is going to go into anything that's side length. So this is a part that says the first parameter matches that one. So side length is going to go into here and in here. So what it's going to do is go forward 100. The second parameter, number of sides, that will go into here first and then into here and here. So it's going to repeat 3 times and it's going to divide 360 by 3, which gives us 120. So if we run that one on its own, we get that. If we add any number of parameters, if we add a few more, let's see if we get the desired result. So let's have a look at JavaScript. We've slightly changed a few things here. So we've got our function call has 2 parameters. The first parameter is side length, which goes here, forward, go forward however many times you put that parameter in. The second parameter, we've called number of sides instead of angle. Bit more intuitive again. So the first parameter, 100, is going to go into here and it'll go there. So it'll go forward 100. Now the 3 is going to go into here. So in our last for loop we had a hard-coded number. So now we want a flexible number because we're going to put in different parameters, different arguments, different functions, so we need it to be flexible. And it's also going to divide 360 by the number of sides, in this case 3. So we run this, we can see we get the triangle. And if we do a few more function calls with different parameters, this one's saying make a square with side of 50, this is making a pentagon with a side of 80, and this one's a hexagon with a side of 70. And we could take any of them away if we just wanted the hexagon, for example. So this demonstrates multiple parameters, or 2 in this case, and the flexibility that you get so that you can make your functions call the right thing. As long as your parameters and your arguments that go into the parameters are correct, you'll get the desired outcome.